Hello, my friends, and welcome to Riding with Doug. And today we're going to talk about the 5 accessories that I think you ought to add to your motorcycle for the long haul. And by the long haul, I mean if you're going to spend more than 4 or 5 hours going for a ride, or if you're headed to a different state and you're taking a trip, I think you ought to make sure that your motorcycle is prepped with these 5 things to help you enjoy your ride and appreciate the view and pay less attention to how sore or in pain you are as far as not being comfortable while riding the motorcycle. And then I'm going to give you 2 bonus tips that I think are definitely worth mentioning for any long road trip that you're thinking about. Alright, so let's get right into the video. And tip number 1 is a little bit of a cheating tip because some of the motorcycles will already have it. Like the tour models for Harley-Davidson already have cruise control. And cruise control is definitely probably the most underrated accessory that I think you can add to your motorcycle. It's absolutely fantastic to be able to take your right hand off of the bars and just give it a rest and shake it out. On the short trips you won't really notice it, but if you're going to spend 3 or 4 hours and you're holding in one position and you're not moving your wrist, that gets tiring and it gets a little sore. So it's definitely nice to be able to switch hands and ride down the road with the right, ride down the road with the left, and then even you'll see me ride down the road with no hands on the bars at all. I don't really actually recommend that, but you'll see people do it all the time. Nice thing about cruise control, if you get into a lot of the tour models, even Indian, Harley-Davidson, and so on, those models should have a cruise control already built in. If you don't have cruise control, there is an option for what they call a throttle lock, which is basically just a clamp that tightens down on the throttle itself so that you can let go and it won't return back to idle. The problem with that is that if you get into any kind of emergency situation and you need control of the throttle, trying to take that off and deal with the throttle and the brakes and whatever's in front of you is not always the best choice. And it's really difficult to manage all those things at the same time and not run into something while you're trying to mess with everything else. So I'm a big fan of the cruise control. If you don't have it on your bike and you have the ability to add it, if you're taking a long trip, cruise control is definitely, in my book, a must-have. All right, let's get right into tip number 2. And tip number 2 is highway pegs. I love my highway pegs. And you'll see in some of the videos, you'll see most of the time I don't even use the baseboards. Even when you're riding around town, I live on the highway pegs. If you're new to riding, you want to be really careful riding that way because there is a chance that your highway peg is further from your brake, and so jumping from the highway peg down to the brake in a quick instant is a little tough. My highway pegs are actually closer to my brake pedal than my standard floorboards, and so for me it's pretty quick. But that's something that you kind of keep in mind a little bit, just to make sure that you're keeping yourself as safe as possible. So the bonus about the highway pegs for me is it gives me more adjustability so that I can move around on the motorcycle, because on the long trips, if you sit in one place too long, it's really hard on your back and your shoulders. So you'll see me put my feet on the highway pegs, or you'll see me put my feet on top of the highway pegs and rest my legs. So the highway pegs really are just designed to give you a variety of options for a long ride that will help keep you less sore. All right, and moving right into accessory number 3. And accessory number 3 is a lock. When you're out on the road, usually you end up staying sometimes at a place that isn't always the best. And some people will feel uncomfortable. And so what I recommend is getting into a lock of some kind. There are options to put a lock on your brake lever to keep the brake lever engaged so that you can't move the motorcycle. There are also several different little alarm locks, and this one is designed to go on the caliper, and so it just slides over the brake caliper here, and then you lock it in, and it's really loud if it goes off. And so as you can hear, it's plenty loud, and you will notice it. I don't know if it'll wake you up from a dead sleep, but the lock will keep people from pushing the bike down the street and loading it onto a truck. Now, a lot of times there's really no safe way to keep your bike safe from everybody. Eventually there's a way to steal the motorcycle, and for that, make sure you have insurance. But this setup is nice and easy to carry. It's not hard to tuck into a saddle bag or put in your trunk, and it's lightweight, and it's out of the way. And then of course you have it if you need it. All right, so let's move on to number 4 on our accessory list. And number 4 is designed to cut down on wind. So as you're riding down the road, especially for those people who wear a full face helmet, with the standard windscreen, you're going to get what we call buffering. And buffering is the wind taking your helmet and shaking it around in the wind, bouncing it. And that will give you a nasty headache and a very sore neck. And it doesn't take very long for you to hate the wind. And now obviously that's one of the reasons that I wear a half helmet most of the time, is because the weight of the full face helmet and the buffeting on the helmet and the extra pressure on my neck really bothers my head. So I don't do a whole lot of full face helmet unless the weather is really bad. If it's really cold, you'll see me wear a full face helmet in the rain, in the hail, in the snow. Those odd conditions where the weather is bad, that's usually when you see me wear a full face helmet. What I recommend is switching out your front windshield to a windshield that's pretty close to about your nose level. As you're riding down the road and you're comfortable, I would get a windscreen that comes up to about your nose. And then I also recommend having a curved windscreen, which will push that wind up and over the top of you, and you won't get as much of that buffeting as you would with a stock windscreen. Okay, let's walk into accessory number 5. And accessory number 5 isn't something that necessarily hooks right into the motorcycle, but I added it because I think that storage is key to taking a long trip and being comfortable. And so I've talked about my Harley Davidson rear seat bag several times, and so I won't really get into that again, but I highly recommend adding a piece of luggage to either the rack on the tour pack or something that you can strap down to the passenger backrest or the sissy bar, so that you have something that you can actually lean back on and be comfortable and give your lower back some support. That will help you add extra miles to your road trip. While we're talking about bags, I do want to mention that Adam Sandoval and Ciro have come up with a brand new bag that I'm super excited about trying. And this bag is waterproof, and it's going to open on both ends. It has a very cool new design that I've never seen before, and I think it's going to be an excellent bag. And it is designed to be opened from either end of the bag, plus it rolls up to be watertight, and it's got a ton of straps on it. And I think it's going to be a really big hit. I'm excited to see the bag in person. I'm hoping that maybe in a couple of weeks we'll get to see it at Arizona Bike Week. So look forward to that. And I definitely recommend when you're shopping for bags that you look into something that's waterproof. Waterproof is huge, especially on the longer trips. The last thing you want to do is pull over and try and cover it up. It's really nice if it's waterproof and ready to go. You don't have to unstrap it and adjust it and cover it. Will just save you a ton of time and a ton of frustration, especially if you're trying to do it in the rain or the hail or the snow. So take my word on that, it's definitely the way to go. All right, now that we've covered all 5 of those, let me give you 2 bonus. And the 2 bonus are kind of connected together. The first bonus that I want to recommend to you is I would like you to consider adding heated grips. Heated grips are fantastic, and I think you should still carry 2 pair of gloves. But what I would do is I would carry a waterproof pair of glove and a glove that's fairly thin so that you can wear them with the heated grips and you don't have that bulk on your hands, so that you have much more control and grip on the handlebars when you're riding down the road. And the heat helps out with that on the 700, 800, and 900,000 mile road trips when you're almost never stopping except for gas. So that's a big plus, and I recommend heated grips. The other thing I want to recommend to you along with heated grips is a heated seat. And I am a big fan of Harley-Davidson's hammock seat with heat. The hammock is extremely comfortable to ride. It's plush. It has a wide base, so that gives you a comfortable seat. You can kind of swivel around and adjust and lean back and lean forward and crouch down in the seat. And then, of course, the heat, one is it gives you more time in the saddle because you won't be as sore with the heat on low. It'll help support your lower back, and it kind of keeps your muscles loose, and you're not going to be as stiff and as sore when you get to your destination. And then 2, it's twice as comfortable. The hammock actually has a layer in it that supports your back and your butt like a hammock. And so it has a tendency to absorb a lot of the really nasty potholes that kind of bounce you around and send that jarring up your spine. You don't want that. So the hammock is actually a fantastic choice for seats. If you'd like me to review the hammock, I'm more than happy to do it. Throw in some comments down below and I can talk more about it. And as always, if you're interested in any of this stuff and I don't cover it as much as you'd like to, or you have some things that you'd like me to talk about on this channel, just throw some comments down below and mention what you'd like to know or what you want to talk about, and I'm more than happy to make a video on it. This channel is all about you guys and what you get out of this channel. So, alrighty, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next video.